start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, and this, of course, is the Saturday 5. It is, as ever, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Alex Armstrong, along with Will Kingston, Dr. Renee, Trey Lowe, and Andy Twelves. Tonight on the show.
Not one single Afghan should be allowed entry into this country.
Labour sacrificed childhood for their forever power plan.
And who are these Antifa thugs constantly getting bussed around the country?
Who's watching the Watchers? And Zia Yusuf is somehow still hanging on.
Well, it's 6 p.m, and this is the Saturday 5. They're already rowdy, these lot. We literally have a 2-second clip there, so there we go. Welcome to the Saturday 5. It's going to be a very feisty one this week, everybody. Of course, great panel back here. Willie Kingston, Yay. Dr. Renee's returned, Trey's back again. We're just missing Kai. Andy Twelves is stepping in for him this week. Kai will be back from his very long holiday very soon. Well, of course, Will Kingston is back, and he's done more flip-flops than Keir Starmer in the last week.
Come on, mate.
Can't make his mind up as to whether the Tories have finished or Reform has gone soft. I think that is a little bit unusual, as going soft isn't Big Willie's usual stature, is it? Dr. Renee is back from her 5th holiday this year, is it?
I work to go on holiday.
That's fair. And I think she's going to need it, to be fair, because with Wes Streeting doubling down on doctors doing their jobs rather than protesting, for example, I'm actually concerned Renee might have quite a lot of work on her hands. And Trey is back this week. Welcome back, Trey. How's it being a new dad?
Still not sleeping whatsoever, but I love it.
Yeah, well, are you ready to spin some decks for us tonight? Of course, BBC
Absolutely.
Apprentice star. He's going to be keeping us all account on our lunacy over the next 3 hours. And Andy Twelves is stepping in for Kai this week. I can't promise he has a good Beaver story for you, but I can promise you'll probably get the same wet left opinion.
Very good, very good.
And of course, I want to know what you have to say. This show is all about your opinions. We read out more than I say this every week because we do. We read out more comments on this show than any other GB News show. So get them in, gbnews.com/your say. And don't forget, there's a special part of our show called Ask the Five. Nothing is off limits. And just get them in, put Ask the Five in your comments so I know which one it's for, and I will read it out at 8 p.m. Of course, while you're there, gbnews.com/poll, because you can vote on what we debate about in the Saturday scrap. Now, here are the topics. Should the police be involved in things like gay pride?
No.
And should working class people run the country? And finally, should we bring in a tourist tax?
Yes.
But before we start tearing each other apart, save it for the show. That's Saturday Night News with Bethany Elsey.
Thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 6 o'clock. At least 55 people have been arrested in central London.
Free Palestine! From Hamas. End apartheid!
At least 55 people have been arrested in central London for showing support for the prescribed terrorist group Palestine Action. Hundreds of protesters gathered in Parliament Square and police intervened after some displayed placards in favour of the group. They were arrested under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. Demonstrations were also held in Manchester, Edinburgh, Bristol and Truro as part of a campaign coordinated by Defend Our Juries. At least 30 people have been injured. 3 of them are in critical condition after a vehicle ploughed into a crowd in Los Angeles. The incident took place on Santa Monica Boulevard, which is close to Hollywood. It's understood the driver of the car may have lost consciousness at the wheel. Captain Adam Vangerpan from the LA Fire Department spoke to press at the scene.
Our firefighters were dispatched after a traffic accident. On arrival, they found a large group of people standing outside of a club. There's a taco truck there. And apparently a vehicle had driven through the taco truck, through the valet, and into the crowd. So when our firefighters arrived on scene, they quickly called for additional resources. So we had a total of 124 firefighters were here on scene. There's about 25 LAPD officers that came out to assist us.
The US president is seeking $10 billion in damages from the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. It's after the paper alleged that Donald Trump sent a birthday message to the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. President Donald Trump insists the letter is fake and is accusing the publication and 2 of its reporters of defamation. The paper's parent company, Dow Jones, said it will defend its reporting vigorously. At least 32 people have been killed by Israeli troops on their way to an aid distribution site in Gaza. The Israeli military claim they fired warning shots at the suspects who were approaching, but Gaza residents say they heard no such warnings before the firing began. Israel and Hamas are engaged in indirect talks in Qatar aimed at reaching a 60-day ceasefire, but there's no sign of any imminent breakthrough. At least 27 people have died, 8 of them children, after a tourist boat capsized in stormy weather in Vietnam's Hang Long Bay. Storm Whipper hit the area, bringing strong winds, heavy rainfall and lightning. The boat was carrying 53 people when it tipped over, with most of the tourists from the capital, Hanoi. You're up to date. Have a very good evening.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. It's 5 minutes past 6 p.m. and you're with the Saturday 5. Over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, I promise you they are, hottest topics and entertaining interviews are coming your way. But before we get on to all that, let's crack on with tonight's first debate. And as usual, I am going to kick us off.
Of course.
What's new there?
Oh, of course.
On a serious note, shocking footage recorded in Epping Forest has laid bare the truth about these far-left agitators, and I genuinely mean this. I think it's going to shock you. Epping Forest has turned into a war zone this week, and in my opinion, there are serious questions about these far-left agitators who keep showing up at every protest, escalating tensions, and then, miraculously, they just disappear, don't they? Well, after reports of multiple alleged sexual assaults by a newly arrived migrant, who denies the allegation, of course, local residents gathered to rightfully and peacefully protest their outrage at an illegal migrant hotel in Epping Forest in Essex. Sadly, the protest turned violent. And let's be clear, that does nothing to change minds. It only fuels those looking to cause chaos. And I strongly condemn violence, and anyone who genuinely does care about this matter should do the same. But the big question I want to ask is this. Who are these so-called anti-fascists? Where are they coming from? Who funds them? And why are they allowed to constantly and consistently agitate and inflame tensions where others have been previously stopped or banned? Well, what do you make of this footage?
Boss, are we filling up?
If these are locals, why are they getting in a police car? Why are they getting in police cars? Why don't they just go home if they're local?
Yeah, for those of you listening, this footage shows refugees welcome here groups being escorted back to a train station in police vans. So let me ask the obvious question. Why would you bus people back to the train station if they're locals? The answer is rather obvious, isn't it? They aren't locals. They never are. These are hard-left activists who don't live in these communities. They're brought in like a travelling circus from protest to protest, and every time local people dare to speak out or rightfully protest what's happening in their communities, they show up. And yet, instead of being treated like a public order risk, like we've seen with the EDL marches or right-wing protests, they're effectively given first-class travel by our police, funded by you, the taxpayer, of course. Well, we reached out to Essex Police, who said this. There was a flashpoint during the protest, and when counter-protesters began to dissipate, they were escorted to the train station. This was to ensure they left the area and prevent additional violence. Why? Why do we have to ferry them back home? Is it because they aren't local? And who organises them? Who pays for this? And more importantly, why do the police leadership seem to think it's appropriate to treat them like guests and give them a free lift home at the expense of you, the taxpayer? It makes my blood boil. And let's be clear, Epping Forest is a peaceful, law-abiding community with crime well below the national average. But now it's being dragged into chaos, not by locals, but by outsiders, and failed policies of successive governments keep enabling it. We need action. Deport every single person who entered this country illegally, investigate who funds and organises these far-left activist caravans, and stop the police from acting like a taxi service for professional agitators. That is what I want a tough government to do. Let's bring it into my panel here. Will, these people show up everywhere, and I think what this footage proves to me is that they aren't locals. And they seem to care about local matters. Why on earth should they be going to events that rightfully local communities are protesting against a severe thing like alleged sexual assault?
Well, Alex, you say that they show up everywhere. They certainly don't show up on any of the other news stations. I think that's why this is a really important piece of journalism that you've done, because there is a narrative, which is that the far right are evil, the far right are racist, bigots, creating violence and all that sort of stuff. And you never see the other side. You never see the fact that in so many instances there are coordinated left-wing groups that are trying to basically bait these people into this sort of violence. And look, we've all said, and we will continue to say, that no one condones violence at GBNews or on our panel, but at the same time, everyone can understand that people have had enough in this country, and it's certainly not helped by these left-wing lunatics who are at this, who are just ignoring all of the challenges in these communities.
Renee?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with what Will said, but I think there's another interesting aspect to this, which as a woman, just like those mothers and grandmothers there protesting because they're worried about their children who are being sexually harassed by these people who come from different cultures with different values regarding women and who are sexually allegedly supporting, assaulting young girls. Whenever we want to speak up about sexual violence against us, these people, this left group, and many of those signs were from people like Socialist Worker, shut us down. As women, we are not allowed to say we feel like we are in danger, and we do. We are in danger.
Andy, my big problem with this is that, and I really concur with what you're saying there, Renee, people need to be able to protest in order to get things off their chest. And when these groups show up, and I want everyone to have the right to protest in our country, as many people on this panel will know, my views on this are quite clear. However, these groups are not helping the situation by showing up and counter-protesting what seems to be a local community in absolute outrage.
I mean, I think counter-protesting is fine. I think everyone here agrees that, you know, we're all free speakers here. And I think this kind of idea that they're not from Epping, fine. The left are just better organised than the right. It's not, you know, we shouldn't be going after the left because they're better at organising counter-protests than the right.
Do you think
I think that misses the point.
Do you think it's disingenuous for them to go and counter-protest what's clearly quite a local protest? Do you think they are agitating the situation?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, the scenes that we saw earlier in the week where, you know, the community were throwing bricks at someone who was just trying to get to work, a guy that was working at one of these migrant hotels, not a migrant, but someone who was just trying to do his job, do his shift. People are throwing bricks at him. You know, I think it's not unfair for that to gain national traction and for, you know, wider groups outside of Epping to come and counter-protest. No.
OK, let me bring in Trey.
I think that's the whole reason why I sit here week in, week out, because I can see both sides of the story. I'm very much...
I've never heard you say that before.
No, absolutely, right? Because on the one hand, I think some of these groups, like you said, Socialist Worker, some of the anti-fascist movements, they generally feel that they're on a crusade to stop this country, as far as they're concerned, going towards the right. Then you have people, including the locals, like you say, are trying to protect people locally. But it's finding that balance, because some of the elements of people on the right is provocative. Like you just said, someone going about their business, he's attacked. This attacker is alleged. He hasn't been convicted yet. So it's more broad that some people don't want to see happen.
A young girl was assaulted, right?
No, I get it, but still, he hasn't yet been... He's still allegedly. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes it's easy to whip up sentiment without having any balance, and I think that's why those people...
Can I just speak to that balance, though, Andy? Yeah. On the one hand, you say it's absolutely fine for people to come in and Labour are better organised, the left are better organised at doing it. And yet, I really remember vividly that when Southport happened, the big complaint is that people came in from the outside. They were shipped in by the right-wing fascists, but that wasn't OK.
Well, I think there's a difference between shipping in to counter-protest and shipping in to riot.
These people were shipped in.
Shipping into riot and shipping into counter-protest. I think there is a difference,
The difference is there was one side where there are local community members who are upset with what is happening in their community, and there is another side that has been bussed in to make a political point.
What about that security guard that was assaulted? He was a local community member?
No one's condoning that.
No one's condoning it.
Is he bussed in? Is it his fault that a girl allegedly got assaulted?
No
is it his
one's
fault?
condoning this violence, but the obvious point is that these people who live in these communities have had enough.
So what's throwing bricks at police vans?
No one is
gonna help with that.
No one is condoning this. But when you feel like you
what happened.
But when you feel like you have no democratic recourse, which is what has happened for the last 15 years in this country, you don't condone it, but you can understand why we are seeing more and more civil unrest in this country.
I think what Will's saying, that's what it points to. There is a lack of leadership on it. It's always this vacuum when it comes to leadership. There needs to be someone that says, look, listen, we are going to deal with these issues, but at the same time, certain elements don't need to whip it up and make it into this whole anti-migrant thing like you've just seen.
But they're not going to deal with it, because if they had dealt with it, this wouldn't be happening.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it seems to me that that it's OK when the left go around and bust people around the country, although I think it's really disingenuous for them to do so, because I believe these are local issues and local people should be able to, if the general consensus, let's say 99% or 90% of the locals are really angry about something, by bringing in counter-protesters, what you're doing is trying to create not only agitation, but you're trying to silence, but you're also trying to... You're trying to make the situation appear like it's more divided than it is, and that isn't true to the facts.
But also, did you see that bloke who got his teeth knocked out by the riot police?
Because he was being told to go back, and he kept agitating the police.
OK.
Shocking.
That would never have happened to the counter-protest. It just never would have happened.
We've got to be... I apologise, also want to correct myself. I did say Epping Forest, I meant Epping. I beg your pardon, everybody. I've just been to Epping Forest a lot. Right.
Have you?
Moving on.
Yes, you're doing an Epping Forest.
I do go to Epping Forest quite often. Anyway, moving on. It's a great walk. Really great, beautiful walk. Right, moving on. There's just 2 weeks remaining in our Great British giveaway. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. It's an incredible chance to win £54,321 in tax-free cash. And here's all the details you need to enter.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win our biggest cash prize so far. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, still to come tonight. Will, what have you got for us next?
Yep, the great Afghan scandal is rolling on. I'll be making the argument that not a single Afghan citizen should be allowed to enter this country.
OK, that's up next on the Saturday 5. See you after the break.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Back in 2015, Thornton and Cleveley's resident Emma Shepherd noticed the grass in her garden wasn't growing. Within months, she had to put down Alfie, one of her beloved dogs, who had developed throat cancer. Just weeks later, she developed a lesion on her back, which would later be diagnosed as skin cancer. She knew then that something wasn't right.
I wasn't really aware of the history of the ICI site when I took the property. I did so much investigation. I had the ground tested with my own money. There was high levels of metals in there and some obviously cancerous carcinogenics in there. They actually nicknamed me Erin Brockovich because I was so all over it.
Last year, a joint investigation was launched by the Environment Agency and the local council. That was following the discovery of PFOA, a man-made chemical that potentially causes cancer. Both parties told GB News they are now working together on this matter, whilst the company under investigation for the potential release of the substance had this to say. AGC Chemicals Europe sets the highest standards for itself and takes its commitments to the local community and to the environment extremely seriously. They added that they voluntarily phased out the use of PFOA in the UK by early 2012. Release of the substance was within the permits held by AGC Chemicals Europe at the time and also UK legislation in place at the time. And yet, 2 months ago, residents within a kilometre of the site received this letter from the council, advising them not to consume anything grown in their gardens due to potential PFOA contamination.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'll tell you what here, the breaks are even worse than what we broadcast to you. Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Please vote in our poll for what we're going to debate in the next hour. Big topic of the day on the Saturday Scrap, of course, whether we should have Pride, whether we should have a tourist tax. I can't remember the last one. Someone remind me.
Working class government.
Whether we should have more working class people in government. Thank you, Dr. Renee. OK. Oh, it's all there written in my auto cue. I should have just read it on. All right.
We don't have an auto cue, mate. Like,
no,
seriously.
well, that's true.
No
well
excuses for you.
Well done to you guys. Let me just read out a quick comment. If I can find one where you're not going to get me booted off air. Here's Alex. Here's a song to welcome back the Doctor. Oh, Doctor, Doctor, can't you see I'm burning, burning? Oh, Doctor, Doctor, glad to see you back.
How lovely.
There you go. Dr. Renning is currently freezing, so
I'm having a bit of a hissy fit.
It's all right. We'll get through it. Right now, it's time for our next debate. Who's going up next?
Yeah, I'll take it away, Alex. The great Afghan scandal rolls on, and the more I read about this, the more I am shocked beyond belief.
You're in the middle of a show with multiple.
Am I boring you, Trey?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Take your time. Feel free. Go on.
I am so sorry.
Well, why don't you take it from the top?
Apologies, guys.
Take it from the top. Let's
go again.
Like a bad.
Thank you, John. I'll have another crack because this is a very serious issue. The Afghan scandal rolls on. With the exception of the grooming gangs, it is the greatest scandal in modern British history. Now, there are some things that we can agree on. Number one, this is jointly owned by the Conservative Party and the Labor Party when they continued this ridiculous super injunction for a year after taking office. Number two, that super injunction was not, at least after the first initial period, to save the lives of Afghan citizens. It was political. It was to cover their own backsides, particularly when you heard that these lists of Afghan citizens were on social media and the Taliban had them the whole time. And the numbers are staggering. £7 billion is going to cost this country, with the addition potentially of lawsuits from ungrateful Afghans who have been relocated who are now going to sue the UK government. Where I disagree with politicians across the political spectrum is that I don't think that a single Afghan citizen should be allowed in this country. I think it is terribly unfortunate what happened in Afghanistan. I think it is terribly unfortunate that it is a backwards, barbaric culture. I think it's terribly unfortunate about the culture, that way that they treat women, the way that they think about minority groups. But unfortunately, that's the reality. We should be looking at resettling Afghans who helped us. And by the way, it is a vanishingly small group out of the total of 100,000 that are now coming into this country in a third-party country, which is more culturally compatible. Because the sad reality is that if you let Afghan citizens into this country, they are going to be more likely to commit crime and to put the lives of women and children in danger. That should be the priority of the UK government.
Yeah, strong stuff there, Will. Strong stuff. I think disproportionately Afghans do commit more offences. I believe sexual offences, they might be quite high.
They are the top of the list, Alex.
Top of the list, correct.
And can I say, that does not mean that every Afghan person is, going to commit these crimes. Of course. In fact, it would be a small minority that does. But at the same time, when you are the UK government, you have an obligation to look at risk. And as a result of that, you need to say that it is a disproportionate risk to allow people from this culture in.
We got pushed back.
So no Afghan citizen at all in the UK?
Yes.
So not the Afghani ambassador to the UK or his team?
As in, like, the Afghan ambassador for the
Taliban? He would be an Afghani footballer. What about expelled?
I couldn't care less about an Afghani footballer.
So what about expelled? So what about expelled Afghan allies of ours?
I couldn't care less. Resettle them in a third country where they are safe. Resettle them in a country where they're safe.
You can shout as much as you want, but it doesn't make your point any more valid. So you think that every single Afghani, we invaded Afghanistan, we caused massive trouble in their country, massive unrest. We put most of these people that have come here now under that scheme at risk of dying, their families at risk of dying. You don't think we should take any responsibility for that at all?
I'm going to interrupt because you've said a lot, but that's actually not true, is it? Because
your man thinks that no Afghanis should be allowed in the country, whether they came here under the dispute or not.
Not yet, anyway.
Renee, go ahead.
But it's already been proven this week that the feeling is that only 1 in 16 of the people on that list were actually allies of our forces, and the rest just wanted to come here because living under the Taliban, let's face it, is pretty dire.
Yeah.
And I get that, but I'm afraid we can't house everyone in the world who lives under a despot governments. So I don't think it's true that we put at risk every single one of the people that are coming here. And Will is right that when people come from a society where violence against women is normalised and accepted, and it is, it absolutely, women are not allowed to speak.
I'm not questioning their record on violence against women.
I definitely want to come in.
Hang on. I want to bring Trey in.
And I want to come. First of all, even my Siri actually started responding when you started your talk. Apologies for my Siri. I think that's absolutely disgraceful. Do you know how many British soldiers would have died had we not had those interpreters, advisors? Helmand Province would have killed so many British soldiers. You're saying they do not deserve any duty of care from us?
No,
like,
no,
really?
I'm not saying that.
I think that's disgraceful.
No, stop. I'm not saying that. No, stop. I'm not saying. I'm saying resettle them in a country which
Why?
Which
but those countries
because women and children are at risk in this country.
But they are also at risk, and the leak came from us as well. Do you want to make this country so barbaric that we just don't care about anyone? Just so we don't have to be brown or Muslim faces in the country?
Can I bring a little bit of nuance into the debate here? Because yes, we can go up. There's quite a lot to discuss here. There's obviously two types of programme that we have here. Now, the government took out the super injunction for the second Afghan repatriation, I can't remember, the ARAP, Afghanistani, something program, which I'll get to in a second. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But basically, there's two programmes. The second programme has allowed thousands more in. So that, for example, the Telegraph reporting today that one man brought 22 of his family members over. Do you think that's appropriate, or should we be protecting the people who actually put their lives in danger?
Absolutely not. Obviously, people are going to abuse the system. People want to get away from the Taliban, and you can't blame them. For a long time, we were there. We brought stability, and then we just literally left overnight, which wasn't really fair to those people over there, right? So absolutely not. You want to look at it. There needs to be nuance. Not every single family member of those key workers are at risk. That's true. People abuse the system, absolutely. But not to say that no one whatsoever who actually helped and supported and saved British soldiers' life shouldn't come over in a war that we started?
You're not listening to me. I'm not saying we don't have a duty to those people. I'm saying we should repatriate them in a country which is more culturally compatible with their values. So it is not the women and children of this country.
So they're coming and raping women en masse.
They are 20 times more likely than UK people to rape women. That is the statistics. That's the reality, Trey. You may not like it. That's the reality.
OK. I have a question about your no Afghan citizen policy. So, say someone's born, their parents are Afghanistani, they've been here for years. They're born in England. It's a young girl who's been born here, so she has dual citizenship of Afghanistan and England. Do you think she should be allowed in the country?
She'd be a UK citizen. That's fine.
Well, that would be a dual citizen, so she'd also be an Afghanistani citizen.
She would have. You're being silly.
Well, no, I think saying that anyone with Afghani citizenship shouldn't be allowed in the UK is a stupid and racist thing to say. I think it's just brain dead to say.
Mate, why are you
saying that anyone with a certain citizenship should not be allowed in this country is racist and moronic?
I'm going to stop speaking to you for a second. I'm going to speak to the audience. Everyone knows here that there are cultural tensions which are bubbling over in this country. You feel it, you know it. And you hear people on the left who start to play silly word games and start to gaslight you. Don't listen to them. Don't pay attention to them.
Well, those girls, you know,
don't pay attention.
So a dual citizenship. So if you've got dual citizenship, you're allowed.
Let's give
that okay?
Trey. Let's give
listen. I'm just going to speak for myself. I think from a fair, compassionate society, which we say we are, that makes no sense that people who helped. And it wasn't them that risked it. It was the MOD that risked it. They should not be there left languishing. And it shouldn't be just. They shouldn't be left to. They shouldn't even go to a third party because it wasn't a third party government that caused it.
I'm going to wrap up here because I think this is the reason why this debate is so difficult, because I think you're right. This is quite complex.
That's extreme.
And I was talking about these two programmes, and this is where we really need to get into the nuance of it. And we haven't got a lot of time left, so I'm going to tell you what the two programmes are, and you should do your research at home as well. You can just Google it. It's the ARAP, which is the Afghan Relocations and Assistance Policy. That provided relocation to Afghan citizens who worked with UK forces, who are closed. The new applications closed on July the 2nd, 2025. That relocated 18,000 people. And then there's the ARP, the Afghan Resettlement Programme, an umbrella scheme that was launched in December 2024 that unifies all of those programmes and other Afghan routes into a single resettlement framework, which is still active. So there's quite a lot of nuance here. OK. Coming up after the break, Renee, what have you got for us?
I'm taking a slightly different approach to giving 16-year-olds the vote, and I'm going to describe why Labour are prepared to sacrifice our children's childhood for their aim to stay in power forever.
Yeah, OK, we're going to be talking about that coming up on the break. We'll see you after the weather.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
It's a bit of a mixed picture across Europe over the next couple of days, with plenty of showers around across parts of France, even northern parts of Italy too. Maybe even Madeira and the Canary Islands catching one or two isolated showers. But for parts of Spain, Portugal, Italy, even parts of Greece, there's plenty of sunshine on offer. And the southern Mediterranean seeing plenty of that sunshine, though perhaps a little breezy. Temperatures generally in the low to mid-30s and similar through the outlook as well. Plenty of sunshine on the cards and feeling very warm.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. So heavy, thundery showers are on the cards for many of us over the next couple of days, but it will be feeling a little bit fresher, perhaps a little less humid than we've seen recently. Low pressure is very much in charge of our weather though, situated out towards the southwest of the UK. Various weather fronts spiralling around it, pushing bands of rain and showers further north. The first one being this one across parts of Wales and southwest England, bringing some heavy and perhaps thundery outbreaks of rain, spreading northwards into the early hours of Sunday morning. Parts of Scotland will also continue to see some outbreaks of rain, and it will be generally quite a cloudy night and quite a mild night too, perhaps not quite as mild as Friday night, but temperatures staying well into the double figures for most of us. So quite a cloudy and mild start to the day on Sunday, quite a damp start too, particularly across parts of southwest England, southern parts of Wales, even southern parts of England, southeast seeing some heavy showers too. Perhaps a little bit brighter across parts of Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. However, for eastern Scotland, we will continue to see some heavy outbreaks of rain, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder too on Sunday morning. As we then head towards the afternoon, we continue to see showers spiralling around that area of low pressure down towards the southwest of the UK. These pushing their way northwards through the afternoon. However, we will start to see a bit of brightness, perhaps some sunny spells developing between those showers, but almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery downpour through the afternoon. Feeling warm where you do catch the sunshine though, temperatures 24, 25, potentially 26 degrees, and even in the north reaching into the low 20s. Looking at the start of the new week though, and it's a pretty similar picture. Some heavy showers to start across the southeast of England, across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland seeing some prolonged rainfall, and again, almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery shower. And the outlook picture is pretty similar too. Further showers and thunderstorms on the cards, but it will feel pleasant and pleasantly warm where you do catch the sunshine.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's a very fiery show tonight, if you just saw our last segment there. Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Of course, I'm reading all your comments here. They're coming in thick and fast. You can get in touch with us, gbnews.com/yoursay. And while you're there, write some questions for Ask the 5. Just put Ask the 5 in your comment, and I will save it for our part of the show later. We read out everything that you've been asking us. It's normally really good. I read out your comments now, but I've lost them all. For some reason, my computer screen's gone blank. I will read them out in the next break, I promise. And while you're online, vote vote in our poll, gbnews.com/poll. Today we're asking you what we should lock horns over in the Saturday scrap. So should the police get involved in Pride? Should more working class people run the country? And should we bring in a tourist tax? That's coming up from 7 o'clock, so get your votes in. And now it's time for our next debate. I have a feeling I know who wants to go next.
It's me.
Go on then, Renee.
OK, so childhood should be magical, mystical, happy, and should be as far away from the worries and woes of adulthood as can be for as long as is possible. But slowly, we are rapidly denigrating childhood, and what's happening? We have an adult population, a young adult population, who don't want to adult anymore. And is it any surprise? Instead of leaving our little ones to read, to play, to believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy for as long as possible, we're introducing adult sexual themes to them as young as possible. We're telling them to not believe what their eyes are seeing, and sometimes to even lie to adults in the process. We're telling them to not read or write anymore, but giving them a screen that takes away their ability to imagine things, to think for themselves, and we're making them worry about the climate. Now, Labour want to actually denigrate and slice off a little bit more of childhood to make them think about politics before they can buy super glue, alcohol, a lottery ticket. So they have to give up more childhood at a time when they should be behind the bike shed having a sneaky fag or having a snog with the girl they've fancied for ages. But no, they've got to think about the next government when they're not even adults. Not only is it ridiculous to expect these immature brains that have not yet lived in the adult world to make such an important adult decision, but it's yet more theft of their childhood, their precious childhood that goes quickly enough. And I know, I'm a mum, it whizzes by. And it is just a gerrymandering exercise by Labour to try and win forever power. There are two cultures, adult culture, children's cultures, and the two shouldn't mix, especially not just to keep this autocratic government in power.
Yeah, you know, I think this whole vote to 16 thing is a real farce.
Yes.
Because you could literally apply the same... I mean, I know Angela really embarrassingly said you can get married at 16, which...
She also said you can work at 16, which you can't.
It's crazy. So she didn't even know that the aspects of her own policies that are going to impact. But you could apply the same rules to a 15-year-old, to a 40, to a 10-year-old. That's my problem with that.
Well, also, if we're talking about them being taxpayers, so they should have a say. So people that have never paid tax, do they not get to vote? Do we turn it around?
This is the thing, because it's not a tax issue, because anyone can pay tax at any age, right? So where do we draw the line on what an adult is? What is the next group, 15-year-olds?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really support the policy massively. I've got bigger issues that I care about.
You've been a teacher, haven't you?
No.
No, I thought you were a teacher.
I'm thick.
Okay.
No, I've never been a teacher. God forbid if I was ever a teacher.
That's the qualification, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good. I think, well, votes at 16, it was in the Labour manifesto. So I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I mean, people knew that it was in the manifesto, it got voted for, and the government won. Like, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, like any of us who are in political analysis and commentary.
It was in the manifesto. It was wrong.
Wait, I don't know if it is. I think there are bigger issues out there that we could be using our platforms to speak out against or for. To be honest, I don't think votes at 16 is the hill to die on, to be honest.
If there are bigger issues, then why are Labour focusing on it?
I think it's just an easy piece of legislation in the wider democratic reforms that they're putting through. It's one part of a wider democratic reform legislative programme.
I do think they think it's an easy way to try and pick up a few more votes, but I think the easy thing which will be interesting is it will backfire, particularly if Corbyn enters with a new party. He will chew up all of the Labor votes. I think Reform will still maintain a substantial minority of the young vote. I can actually see this backfiring on Labor.
Well, I mean, I hope it does, because I really am worried about our children. They are the unhappiest cohort of people that we have ever produced. They've never had more contacts, and they've never been lonelier. They've never been more depressed. And yet here we are now. Not only are we telling them that the world's on fire, we're now telling them they've got to think about politics, when really they're not ready. They should just be children.
Yeah, and I don't know who said it, but the age of 21 seems more appropriate for these things.
We should write... I think it was... Who was it? It was Rod Liddell said we should increase it.
I totally agree. I remember... I mean, listen, all 16-year-olds are going to be pro having more rights, right? So you can't actually... It's like asking... Of course, a 15-year-old wants... A 12-year-old wants to stay up later later before bedtime.
Alex,
right?
that's not actually true. I was listening to some analysis from Scarlett Maguire that came out the other day, and apparently it's about 50-50 in terms of which 16, 17-year-old kiddies actually do think they should have the right to vote,
No,
which I thought was fascinating.
Fair enough. I guess, Trey, at what point are we creating sort of a two-tier adulthood? Right, you can vote at 16, but you can't, buy an 18-rated movie. You can't buy a super glue. You can't get a tattoo. You can't get a go on a sunbed. You have to get IDs.
Can't buy aspirin, can you?
I think maybe I don't know. But these sorts of things, there's like a two-tier adulthood now. Then surely those kids will start demanding that they can have those things legalised.
It's one of those things where I think if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. I mean, 18 is fine. If I was going to go between the two, 16 or 21, I'd probably want to go up higher rather than lower, if I'm honest. But I think there's nothing wrong with the system the way it is. I mean, 18 is fine enough. 16 is so young, so much more impressionable, and I think you're right, I'll end up backfiring.
Well, I think you're right, they will backfire, but I think they're doing it because they thought when they went into their manifesto it was a way to get votes.
It's been a long-standing Labour policy, in fairness, but I think it throws up an interesting question of, well, are people going to be allowed to stand for elected office at 16 now?
Yes, they should.
They
should be allowed to. If
you're allowed to vote, surely you should be able to stand.
And then serve in cabinet, surely, and maybe Keir Starmer needs a 16-year-old in cabinet.
I mean, Reform UK have all jokes aside, Reform UK have an 18-year-old running Warwickshire County Council, so it does lead to the question, are 16-year-olds going to be running our council?
But it's quite interesting because you're not allowed to leave school at 16.
Yeah.
No, of course you're not.
Right, OK. This is a really fascinating debate. I think this is going to plough on into the next one. We'll see how many young people actually do show up to vote, because I think it'll be quite a small group of people. Anyway, still to come after the break. Trey, what have you got for us?
So I am going to be speaking about the facial recognition cameras that are going to be brought to London's Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah, that's a big one. Free speech stuff coming up. We'll see you after the break.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. As ever, I want to hear what you have to say. gbnews.com/your. My computer did freeze earlier. I don't know why everyone's going nuts saying it didn't freeze. It literally did. It went completely blank. So I have got some of your comments now. Here we go. We've got some brilliant Ask the Fives in here. Tracy, Michelle, PW, Terry. I've got all your comments ready for later in the show. But here, John A says, my son will be 18 at the next election and he's going to vote for a certain Prime Minister that's going to deal with immigration. But every parent out there should say to their 16-year-old, sorry, but I've got a strict charging you £100 rent from next week. And when they say why, say because Labour and their party policies. OK, I want to make sure that you two get a good debate in this hour, so we'll read some more from 7 o'clock. OK, coming up, it's time for our next debate. Trey, what have you got for us?
Right, and I'm talking about who's watching the watchers. So, facial recognition at Carnival. That's how it starts. A few cameras, promise of safety, and a silent scan of 1,000 faces. But where does it all end? So, today it's Carnival, tomorrow it's school gates, next week peaceful protests, football matches, church gatherings, who knows? You won't even know when it's happening, but your face, your data, your movements, all quietly recorded. And here's the real issue. The level of surveillance is never truly about keeping everyone safe. It's about controlling certain groups. Working class communities, minorities, loud voices, the publics. But when it comes to the most powerful, the elite, the well-connected, suddenly it's silence. We've got tech to track teenagers at Notting Hill Carnival, but we still can't get our hands on the Epstein client list and prosecute those who may have harmed children. I mean, how convenient. If the state can watch every face in the crowd, then we should be able to shine a light on every one of those people behind those closed doors. One rule for them and another rule for the rest of us. So if we're going to build a surveillance state, let's at least be honest and make sure that it watches upwards as well as down.
Yes, listen, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite on free speech, so I totally understand. I hate these facial recognition cameras because like, if you don't like them at Pride, and you don't like them at Carnival, and you don't like them being used on your high street, you've got to be consistent on these things. You can't just say you want them for one festival, you don't want them for another. I do think that crime at Carnival was too high, and I do think we need to have an open discussion about how we can make Carnival safer. So I mean, the vast majority of people who go to Carnival are law-abiding citizens and want to have a good time. There are a small minority of people who commit the most heinous crimes, and we need to address that and talk about it. Will, do you think we should be using facial recognition cameras at Carnival?
Absolutely not. It's another one of those kind of Blairite, technocratic kind of surveillance state dreams which we need to abandon as quickly as possible. You said we need to have a conversation, Alex, about how we make Carnival safer. You are dead wrong. We need to have a conversation about how we get rid of Carnival as quickly as possible.
There we go.
It is government-subsidised sexual assault and murder. We know to a degree of statistical certainty that there will be stabbings, that there will be sexual assault at this carnival. I don't understand how you can put millions of pounds into a carnival where we know that you're going to see that happening.
Of pounds. Look, listen, we're talking about 1.5 million people that go to this. Yes, of course, the crime is unwelcome, but there's crime that happens at every gathering. There's crimes that happen at UK festivals, lots of stuff, especially when it comes to sexual assaults. That's not true. By the way, have you ever been to the Notting Hill Carnival?
I have.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was terrible. I thought it was hell on earth.
Why did you go?
Because I lived in Notting Hill.
And it was... OK, I want to get everyone's thoughts in here. Andy, briefly from you.
I quite like Notting Hill Carnival. I don't think it should be cancelled. I probably don't agree with facial recognition software. I've got no real hot takes on this, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's fine. Renee, briefly from you, please.
This is the slippery slope. It goes inside with digital ID, and it will come eventually, if we just accept this, to complete control of everything we do in society, and I don't want that.
Absolutely right. Andy, Want to hear what your big topic is tonight from us, for our audience.
For our audience, for the People's Channel. So, former chairman of Zia Yusuf, now unelected bureaucrat running their Doge programme, peeking into people's personal council data, has had a scandal on Twitter. His Twitter account liked a tweet that was anti-Semitic and racist, specifically targeted at Robert Jenrick and his family, whose wife and children are Jewish. And instead of kind of owning up that it was him, he said that it was his social media staff. He apologised for liking the tweet on his account and blamed it on his social media staff. But this was not the first time that he's used this excuse. In 2018, he made a series of unwanted phone calls to a female employee, and then later kept requesting her on Instagram, despite her blocking him on WhatsApp. He used the same excuse that it was his social media account staff then as well. Is this really the kind of behaviour that we want exhibited of someone that's going to be poking around our council data? And this isn't the first Reform representative to have a problem with women. Obviously, the former Reform MP, now independent MP, James McMurdoch, got sent to prison for beating up a woman. Is this kind of an ideology that is rife throughout the Reform UK party? I don't know.
OK, Zia Yusuf, of course, is not here to defend himself. We want to make that very, very clear. Will, I'm going to come straight to you, as predicted. Listen, regardless of what you make of this situation, you have flip-flopped a lot on between Jenrick and Reform. Where are you sitting this week?
I don't know, to be honest, mate.
Wow, that's a first.
It's just so hard because, you know, you really, like, the Conservatives have broken our trust for 14 or 15 years, then they give you a little morsel, and then you hear about the Great Afghan cover-up and you go, oh, yeah, they really were awful. But then you kind of hear this stuff with Reform, and by the way, Andy, everything you said, I agree with you. I think
it's huge.
I think you're exactly right. I don't buy what Zia Yusuf was saying. I think when Robert Jenrick said I call BS, I think he was right. It didn't pass the pub test. But I can't answer you at the moment, Alex, because I think that there are failings in the two right-wing parties in the UK at the moment. It's almost like which is the lesser of two evils.
Well, I did predict he would become a Liberal Democrat not that long ago. Renee, what do you make of this big spat on X between Jenrick and Zia Yusuf?
I think what it says is that, the Tories are terribly, terribly worried about Reform, and that's why they are examining their tweets within an inch of their life. But on the flip side of that, that's why people like Zia Yusuf should be very, very careful about what their staff or they like or retweet on Twitter. I read anything I repost very carefully before I do it, so should they.
OK, Trey?
Do you know what? That's why it's weird, right? There's a part of me that almost wants Reform to do well and form a government, because we've had a lot of disastrous governments. But you're right. There's also this side of me that thinks, is anyone going to get it together? Is anyone able to lead us? And that's what I'm disappointed by.
Yeah, do you know what it is for me? Is that people are people. We are all human beings. We all say stupid things. We all say things we shouldn't say. No matter what political colours you are, Reform, Labour, Green, I have seen them all do it at some point in time. And they are human beings. Now, the problem with politicians is they like to, once someone's made a mistake, they like to shove the knife a little bit deeper. And then, oh, they've done it. Oh, wait. And it just becomes this constant, never-ending tit-for-tat amongst people who are all guilty of doing something themselves at some point in time. There we go.
Lovely words. Do you think Zia liked the tweet?
Do you know what? I don't know, and I don't want to make an uneducated guess. I really don't. I really don't.
That's a fair answer.
All the things that I've liked before, goodness knows what the silly things we've all liked in our past.
Do you know what's interesting, though? You know, when we talk about 16-year-olds, it feels like they're all 16-year-olds running this government of all colours.
Yeah, all right. All right, listen, loads more to come on the show tonight, including the latest on that really tragic event of a vehicle being driven into a crowd in Los Angeles in America. A Labour MP as well calling transphobes swivel-eyed loons. And why Lee Anderson needs a good British tailor. You're, of course, with the Saturday 5 on the biggest show on Saturday night's telly. See you shortly.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to our latest GB News weather from the Met Office. So heavy, thundery showers are on the cards for many of us over the next couple of days, but it will be feeling a little bit fresher, perhaps a little less humid than we've seen recently. Low pressure is very much in charge of our weather, though. Situated out towards the southwest of the UK, Various weather fronts spiralling around it, pushing bands of rain and showers further north. The first one being this one across parts of Wales and southwest England, bringing some heavy and perhaps thundery outbreaks of rain, spreading northwards into the early hours of Sunday morning. Parts of Scotland will also continue to see some outbreaks of rain, and it will be generally quite a cloudy night and quite a mild night too. Perhaps not quite as mild as Friday night, but temperatures staying well into the double figures for most of us. So quite a cloudy and mild start to the day on Sunday. Quite a damp start too, particularly across parts of southwest England, southern parts of Wales, even southern parts of England, southeast seeing some heavy showers too. Perhaps a little bit brighter across parts of Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. However, for eastern Scotland, we will continue to see some heavy outbreaks of rain, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder too on Sunday morning. As we then head towards the afternoon, we continue to see showers spiralling around that area of low pressure down towards the southwest of the UK. These pushing their way northwards through the afternoon. However, we will start to see a bit of brightness, perhaps some sunny spells developing between those showers, but almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery downpour through the afternoon. Feeling warm where you do catch the sunshine though, temperatures 24, 25, potentially 26 degrees, and even in the north reaching into the low 20s. Looking at the start of the new week though, and it's a pretty similar picture. Some heavy showers to start across the southeast of England, across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland seeing some prolonged rainfall, and again, almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery shower. And the outlook picture is pretty similar too. Further showers and thunderstorms on the cards, but it will feel pleasant and pleasantly warm where you do catch the sunshine.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. Yes, you heard it here. I'm Alex Armstrong, along with Will Kingston, Dr. Renee, Trey Lowe, and Andy Twelves. Tonight on the show.
Ding, ding, ding. The Saturday Scrap is coming your way.
We have the first bunch of 5 this week.
We're crossing to the States to hear the biggest news of the week.
We'll take a first look at our triggered tantrums.
Plus, we'll be taking your questions in Ask the 5.
It's 7 p.m, and this is the Saturday 5. Yes, welcome back to the Saturday 5. Brace yourselves, because as you know, this is probably the biggest debate show on telly, and we talk about the issues no one else is willing to talk about. Of course, we've also got triggered tantrums coming up this hour, and they are probably the best we've ever done. Honestly, you don't want to miss these meltdowns. And of course, I want to know what you think. gbnews.com/YouAllSay. Get those questions in for Ask the 5. I now have at least 7 of them to read out, so nothing's off limits. Just send them in, gbnews.com. Just put Ask the 5 in your topic, and I will see if we can read it out. Now, we've got 3 topics we'll be potentially debating. Should the police get involved in Pride? Should working class people run the country? Or should we bring back a tourist tax? You can vote on that very, very, very quickly now. gbnews.com/poll. We'll be debating that after the break. But before we do, it's Saturday Night News with Bethany Elsey.
Thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom.
Free Palestine! From Hamas. End apartheid!
At least 55 people have been arrested in central London for showing support for the proscribed terrorist group Palestine Action. Hundreds of protesters gathered in Parliament Square, and police intervened after some displayed placards in favour of the group. They were arrested under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. Demonstrations were also held in Manchester, Edinburgh, Bristol and Truro as part of a campaign coordinated by Defend Our Juries. At least 30 people have been injured. 3 of them are in critical condition after a vehicle ploughed into a crowd in Los Angeles. The incident took place on Santa Monica Boulevard, which is close to Hollywood. It's understood the driver of the car may have lost consciousness at the wheel. Captain Adam Vangapan from the LA Fire Department spoke to press at the scene.
Our firefighters were dispatched out to a traffic accident. On arrival, they found a large group of people standing outside of a club. There's a taco truck there, and apparently a vehicle had driven through the taco truck, through the valet, and into the crowd. So when our firefighters arrived on scene, they quickly called for additional resources. So we had a total of 124 firefighters were here on scene. There's about 25 LAPD officers that came out to assist us.
The US president is seeking $10 billion in damages from the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. It's after the paper alleged that Donald Trump sent a birthday message to the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. President Donald Trump insists the letter is fake and is accusing the publication and 2 of its reporters of defamation. The paper's parent company, Dow Jones, said it will defend its reporting vigorously. At least 32 people have been killed by Israeli troops on their way to an aid distribution site in Gaza. The Israeli military claim they fired warning shots at the suspects who were approaching, but Gaza residents say they heard no such warnings before the firing began. Israel and Hamas are engaged in indirect talks in Qatar aimed at reaching a 60-day ceasefire, but there's no sign of any imminent breakthrough. At least 27 people have died, 8 of them children, after a tourist boat capsized in stormy weather in Vietnam's Hang Long Bay. Storm Whipper hit the area, bringing strong winds, heavy rainfall and lightning. The boat was carrying 53 people when it tipped over, with most of the tourists from the capital, Hanoi. You're up to date. Have a very good evening.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Can you lot be quiet every time I try to present this show? They just natter on. We've got 2 seconds before the got to listen to your murmurings. Welcome back to the Saturday 5 with me and the rest of the rabble. I'm Alex Armstrong, and of course, you're in for a very, very, very lively hour. And to top it off, to start the show, we're going to have our main event. So you've all been voting at home, and you've been voting about what our Saturday scrap's going to be, and the results are in. 59% of you voted on... well, this is clearly one, hasn't it? Should the police...
Master of suspense.
Well, it's the top one there. Should the police get involved in Pride? 36% of you said should working class people around the country. 5% voted on whether we should have a tourist tax. Here's the Saturday scrap. Yes, it's our main event. We love this part of the show where two of our panellists go head-to-head. And just to give you a bit of background on this story, a judge has ruled that Northumbria Police Chief Constable Vanessa Jardine acted unlawfully by allowing
uniformed.
Thank you.
Standards are slipping on this show.
I just can't work tonight with these lot. Allowing uniformed officers to march in last year's Newcastle Pride. The legal challenge came from Lindsay Smith, a gender-critical lesbian who argued the decision compromised police impartiality. The High Court also found Jardine's decision fell outside the bounds of reasonable judgment, emphasising the need for impartiality. There we go, surprise, surprise. Northumbria Police said they remain committed to fairness and support for all. However, is this the right judgment? Should the police be allowed to celebrate Pride? Well, seconds out, it's round one, and it's Renee versus Andy.
So I love it that the Supreme Court this year are telling us things that we already knew, but putting them into law. So they told us what was a woman, which is great because now we know. And now they're telling us that if the police attend Pride events, dressed as police but partaking in the event, that might suggest that they are not impartial when it comes to protecting everybody in the community, because not everybody is part of the Pride movement or wants to be part of the Pride movement. I love it that the judge said that having a static stand at a Pride event was not impartial of the police. Now, I don't buy into these arguments that, oh, you know, the LGBTQ plus whatever it is community are the most underrepresented and need to know that their police represent them, because that's nonsense. The police represent everybody, be they gay, lesbian, bisexual, black, brown, white. The police are here and should be impartially representing all of those people. And the judge made some interesting comments. The judge said that by giving support, they are giving the impression that they actually support the ideology in the movement. And it is, and this is, the judge said this, it is not hard to imagine a circumstance where there was a clash between a gender-critical group and a gender ideologists, and they would believe that it wouldn't be dealt with impartially. Surely, that's a no-brainer. We can see that, and it's time for the police to hang up their lanyards, stop painting their cars, and actually just wear their uniform and police.
I think there are tiers to this conversation. I think there's a difference between
tiers of the left.
No, very good, very good. That's why they pay the big bucks. I think there are tiers to this. I think there's a difference between partaking in the parade, which I personally don't have an issue with, and having a static stand at the parade. I think it probably is okay to have a static stand at the parade to show that they are there. If there are specific LGBT hate crime incidents, that they're there to speak about kind of community-specific issues. I'd say the same if they wanted to have a stand at, I don't know, a women's event to talk about, you know, specifically women's issues. The same if they wanted to run something about anything. I think having a stack stand is fine. I don't really have an issue with them kind of partaking in the parade. I think there are much bigger issues that the police have to deal with than whether or not they partake in a parade or not. I think, you know, this kind of legal action in the High Court is just a waste of the court's time, and it's just silly. There are real issues in this country rather than trying to engage in proto-culture war issues. I think, you know, kids are starving. There aren't enough teachers in school. schools. There are not enough good jobs for young people. There's not enough housing. I think there are actual issues in this country that the court system should be dealing with. Whether it's criminals, there's a massive asylum backlog. There's a massive criminal proceedings backlog, and we shouldn't have to deal with these kind of neo-political court cases to stick it to a police constable.
It's fantastic, isn't it, that once again I have a man telling me that a woman who brought this case, because let's not forget, this is a woman, Lindsay Smith, who actually was banned from attending her local football team, which was Newcastle, because she had gender-critical views.
No, it was a public safety order. She was going to go and kick off at people and they wanted to...
No, it was because of her Twitter account. I know this case inside out. It was because of her Twitter account. And once again, we have men telling us that we're not allowed to have these views.
I'm not saying that you can't have the views, I'm just saying
and we must accept our police actually showing that they are not impartial and siding with something. I don't ask the police to wear a dress and look like a woman so that I feel included. I want them to look like police and to police around me so that I am safe.
I just think there are genuinely bigger issues. I mean, pride isn't really
not an argument,
It's not that deep.
Let's bring it to the rest of the panel. Well done, you two. Let's, Will, what do you make of it all?
I think Andy's exactly right. There are far bigger issues, which is why I wonder why the left continues to go on with all this identity politics nonsense. That is what they're focused on. They continue to be focused on it when all of those issues that you correctly pointed out are still a problem. Well, they've never been bigger problems in society, but the left, across not just the UK, but the US, Australia, everywhere, are still so focused on all this identity politics nonsense.
Trey?
Yeah, I agree. There are definitely bigger issues, but I definitely see what Dr. Renee is saying. I think women's voices need to be heard in a lot of these instances. You're definitely right about them just having a static stand. Why not? But I think them sort of deciding whether they politically endorse something or not shouldn't necessarily happen. But women should be listened to a lot more on these issues and men shouldn't just say, no, you're wrong, or you shouldn't have those feelings about it.
Can I ask you on the back of the carnival conversation then, because there's been lots of footage of police officers dancing with people at carnival. Right, so I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy in what you're saying there then.
But that's spontaneous.
But is it spontaneous?
It's extremely spontaneous.
And they're dancing in their uniforms.
They're dancing in their uniforms, spontaneously getting into it.
So I don't think they should be allowed to be dancing in uniforms because they're there to keep
killjoy.
Peace. I know. I sound like a bit of a killjoy. I know. But my real sense is that police are becoming ever more politicised across so many different divisions of things. And if there was, let's say, there was a fight to break out of let's just hypothetically say there was a counter-protest to Carnival, and the police were there dancing with Carnival protesters. If you're those counter-protesters, those police are immediately not on your side, are they?
No, I think what it is in that case, the police would absolutely be professional in that instance. I think they are naturally dancing, and that in itself had a difference to the crowd, because the crowd then feels they're one of them.
OK.
That makes a huge difference. There's a lot less likely to be any sort of trouble when the crowd think the police are there with them, just as human beings dancing. His favourite song comes on and he dances. There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you not think that doesn't act as the deterrence that's necessary? Because the police are there to scare people, to say, no. Really, they should be there to scare people.
They should not be there to be intimidating and scaring people.
You don't think so?
No.
I think they should.
They should be there as professional police force when needed, but they should also just be human beings as part of a celebration.
Yeah,
Why not?
I don't think
it's the most normal, natural thing. You're a policeman, your favourite song comes on, you're going to dance a little bit. I think it's natural.
I don't think police should be used to scare people. I think they should be used to steward the event, and if someone kicks off, they should step in.
Absolutely.
I think they should be like a bouncer at these kind of events. They're there to police.
Because it comes down to whether you want a police force or you want a community force. And look, if I had it my way, I would never, ever have allowed the police to participate in Pride the way they do now, because if there is a Christian group or any group that wants to protest against Pride, because it is political. We went and interviewed people at Pride not that long ago, and I watched the Pride flotillas going. I listened to the speakerphones, and there were people saying about there being more than two genders there. That's political. There were people talking about, what a woman is. That's political. There was different spreads on different cars. That's political, in my opinion, and that is because it is an opinion. It's not an established fact. And when the police get themselves involved in this, they have a real danger of dividing our society and not being seen as the impartial law enforcers they need to be.
It's similar, isn't it? When the pro-Palestine marches took place, do you remember right at the beginning, there were pictures of police having photos done with pro-Palestine flags. That was political. That was wrong, because we have people who don't feel like that. We have Jewish members of society who would feel threatened by that particular stance. So I agree with you. I think the difference between this and Notting Hill Carnival is that they're not donning a Rastafarian colours and hair.
Sure.
They're in their uniforms and they're dancing. Here, they are actually wearing lanyards, their cars are covered in flags. They've got one particular police car had a sign saying something about TERFs in debating it.
Right. Yeah, that's completely out of order. Will, look, you're a man of free speech, but is there a line when you're on public duty?
There is, because this is part of the job. Like, there has been the most wonderful tradition in this country for hundreds of years of policing by consent, which is why you generally don't see guns in the hands of police officers, unlike in the US, unlike in Australia. That works very well in a high-trust society. Unfortunately, we are no longer a high-trust society. I think there are several factors, and you know some of them we talk about every week, but I think part of this sort of nonsense that we're talking about here contributes to a diminishing of trust in the police force.
Yeah, Andy, I'll give the last word to you on this one. I mean, I saw a clip the other week of a police officer back I think it was all the way back in April, celebrating a Sikh community event. He was a little bit dressed up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's really distasteful, first of all, but I also don't see the necessity of it. If you're going to police without fear nor favour, surely you shouldn't be indulging in any events that don't have nothing to do with the law.
So I think it's quite. I think when that kind of community relationship happens, it's quite like when the royals go or politicians go. I think if you've gone to a community centre, whether it's a mosque or another religious place, and a community leader has invited you to wear some of their kind of cultural get-up, whether it's, a turban or, a cloth over you or something like that, I think that is respectful and I think it's fine. Okay. I think if he's sat around the back of South Yorkshire Police Station with it, it's probably wrong.
Got it. All right. Well, and a change of topic here. There's just 2 weeks remaining in our current Great British giveaway.
No way.
Chance to, yeah, it's coming to an end, guys. Who would have thought it? £54,321 in tax-free cash. Here's all the details you'll need to enter.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win our biggest cash prize so far. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Alrighty then. Still to come tonight.
I filed a complaint with a very big breakfast show. And I said they need to apologise. That was really deeply disrespectful.
Oh, poor her.
I quite
upset
like
her recipe. Oh no. It's this week's Tricky Tantrums, but next, in the bunch of 5, we will be revealing what the problem is with Lee Anderson's Union Jack. I think it looks glorious personally, but someone's got a problem with it. You're with the Saturday 5 Live on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GBNews, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. Please get in touch, gbnews.com/yoursay, and get your questions in for Ask the 5. Let me get some of your messages in here. Sharon says, we're talking about this prior to this break, which is about this big debate on whether the police should participate in things like Pride. Well, Sharon says, police should only show support if they are out of their uniform. I'm totally fine with it. If they're off duty, they can do what they want. It's, you know, it's a free country, or almost at least. Anthony says on the topic of whether 16-year-olds should vote. 16-year-old MPs, he says, judging by what we witnessed at PMQs, would we see any difference? I don't think you would. They might be better behaved, to be honest with you. Very good. Paula, on the topic of Afghanistan, said, my heart goes out to all the veterans that fought in Afghanistan and are now witnessing what is going on in our country. I couldn't agree more with you. I know lots of veterans in my family as well. Loads of Ask the 5 questions here, by the way. I keep on stacking them up here, so keep sending them in. You can ask anything to us. But now, it is time for this. Yes, it is Bunch of 5. Some more takes on the news of the week and a quick fire round. Will, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Alex, do you remember that they said that Trump basically could, shoot up a bunch of citizens on Fifth Avenue and his fans would still love him regardless? That was the level of support. It does seem like the Epstein thing is starting to lead to a rift in the MAGA movement. It does. It has fundamentally broken, and you see kind of some of the right, like the kind of bit of the loony right, your Tucker Carlsons and your Candace Owens are now actually starting to break away with Trump. We are starting to see some fissures here. It's a really interesting step now that we've been told apparently there is no Epstein client list. Yeah, I am very critical of Trump on this one, and I'm a big fan of Donald Trump, as many people at home will be too. However, he's really missed the ball on this. He's really missed the ball. He's dropped the ball by not being honest about releasing these files. So now he's called for the DOJ to release the files, right? Can we get a right of reply from Donald Trump? Well, we'll ask. I think I didn't have anything to do with it, actually. Well, it wasn't me. I think it was Andy 12s. I think Andy 12s might have had something to do with those horrible files. Oh, no. Truly terrible. Troy,
I'm glad it's happened, I'll be honest with you, because I think it's mixed things up. I think it's better to have a Donald Trump that's going to be listening to people than one who thinks he's able to do whatever he wants. And I think the Epstein thing, I'm not sure why he underestimated how important it is when he's, the attorney, everyone's been promising him, they were accusing the Democrats of all sorts of cover-ups, and he's just like, nothing to see here. Of course his base is going to start asking questions. And I think the blowback is going to be pretty horrendous.
I think what's interesting about this is that the reason his base are very keen for this is they know that on that list, we've seen the manifests of who flew to Lolita Island. There are lots of people like Bill Gates, all of these, Clinton, possibly some people in the UK who flew over there, and that they want to see these people come down. They feel that this is the global cabal that is controlling their world, and they feel this is the takedown. I think if Trump had anything really bad on that list, surely the Democrats would have leaked it at some point.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. Andy, going to get your thoughts on this later because we have got a big interview coming up on this very soon. So let's move on. Renee, what have you got for us?
OK, so I think when Labour keeps showing us what they are, we should believe them. And yet another MP has, he thought privately, given a speech at something called Queer in Academia, told us what he thought about gender-critical women like me. I think let's just hear it.
You can't look like the alternative version of the transphobes. No. Because the best argument against them is a conversation with them. Yes. Because they look swivel-eyed and honestly, they're not very well people, I don't think, the ones that I've met.
Unbelievable.
So I don't know how swivelly my eyes are, and I think I'm quite well. I mean, I see people who are not well and try and help them get well. But I think this is just typical. He goes on to say that he doesn't believe that the Supreme Court ruling has brought clarity. He thinks it's a disgrace and that they must fight it. These are our MPs fighting the Supreme Court against women.
Yeah, I just find it very, very interesting when they sometimes like what the Supreme Court have to say when it comes to Brexit, but when it comes to other topics, I hate it all. Andy, is it fair to call people who are transphobic swivel-eyed?
Probably not. To be honest, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's it is a shame. I think that there is a legitimate debate to have about the Supreme Court ruling from a legislative perspective about how that will impact trans men. Do they go back into women's bathrooms? Or, there is a legitimate debate to have there. I don't think name-calling is probably the way to do it, particularly not from an elected MP.
OK, Trey, quick one.
Yeah, I'm the same, and I hate all the name-calling from both sides of the political spectrum. I mean, why can't people have an opinion? And I do agree with Dr. Renner. I think there's something about that debate where women have not been allowed to just speak, whether or not we agree with them or not. Why are they not allowed to voice their concerns?
Yeah.
I think I'm glad that tide seems to be shifting, but we can do it with respect for people on both sides,
OK, I've got an interesting story for you.
We'll be the judge of that.
I don't think you might. I think people watching at home probably will be. Tulsi Gabbard, who is the Director of National Intelligence in the United States government, Donald Trump's government, she's released a dossier that has called for Barack Obama and former senior US national security officials to be prosecuted, accusing them of treasonous conspiracy intended to show that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election win was due to Russian interference. Now, this dossier basically says that Russia had nothing to do with it and that Obama knew it. But however, the Democrats continued to say that there was Russian election interference when apparently that is a vacuous lie. So we'll be seeing how that plays itself. That's quite serious words from the Director of National Security there, National Intelligence, should I say. Do we just get away with saying things like this in politics far too often now, Will?
Possibly, yeah. But at the same time, I do wonder when there are so many serious problems in the US right now and around the world, when they are careering towards an economic cliff. This may be something, it may not. I haven't seen the dossier, but I do wonder whether this is the right priority for them to be going after.
Well, it's probably what we see over here all of the time, isn't it? It's look over here. Yeah. Don't look here, look over here. It's just throwing the dead cat into the middle of the room. But I do think also what it demonstrates again is that the left have this feeling that we are the stupid ones, and therefore they are so righteous that they have to continually just say things even when they're not true. It's like the £22 billion black hole that the OBR said never existed.
Well, I would say, is Big Tulsi going to release a report about Trump saying that it was stolen from him in 2020? Because he kept repeating that line. I mean, he even maintains that line today. So I assume that, in her diligent duty as a servant of the US, she'll be releasing a report about how that was complete crap as well.
So you know what? I'll pass those to Trey. Trey, do you know what worries me is that I feel like we're getting to a point where lawfare is constantly being used in politics for political decisions, and I think we should call things out. If a lie was perpetuated by the US government that is false, we should bring light to it. But I'm worried we're getting to a stage where we're just going to start locking everyone up.
You know what I really don't like? Even terms like the left, the right. I think that's one of the issues because, of course, they're going to use it when it suits them, and then the right's going to use it when it suits them. Why can't we just do it is it fair? Is it inside of the law? Should it have been said? That's what I want to stop. Why does it always have to be this right-left paradigm? We need to stop all of this.
While you're there, why don't you tell us what you've got for your bunch of 5?
So what I've got for my bunch of 5, which I think is a really good news story, and we don't celebrate this. No, you'll all agree. You guys must agree with this, right? And that's England women's football team, the Lionesses, doing so incredibly well and getting to the finals, and no one seems to talk about that. And also what I love about it is the fact that it's this multicultural, multi-ethnic game. Do you know?
Do you know what? I tend to... I mean, I'm very, very supportive of them. I want them to win. It's another great win for Britain. The problem is no one watches. People just don't watch. That's the reality, isn't it, Andy?
But I mean, I don't know.
Well, the numbers speak for themselves. I just don't think as many people watch.
I only watch Mansfield Town.
It hasn't been that long.
To be honest, you know,
not watching it either.
I watched Mansfield Town and they had a great 3-2 draw against Borough today, but that's by the by. I think, you know, people do care. People are patriotic. Like, lots of people don't watch the cricket. They probably want us to win the Ashes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's just
I agree with that.
I mean, look, I was coming back from the airport when this game was on, and I was actually watching the scores live flick up, and I thought they were finished when it went past half-time. They were 2-0 down. So they did very, very well to claw that back. However, I'm going to put this in here. I am so disappointed with the Lionesses for not speaking out against the FA, for allowing men and boys to play against women, that I cannot support them, and I will not support them until they do.
OK, Will, brief word from you.
Yeah, wonderful result. Couldn't care less that they're multicultural or multi-ethnic. I just get they're obviously they're good football players and they've done incredibly well.
OK, let's move on. Andy, your bunch of 5.
Yeah, so Big Lee Anderson had his GBNews special yesterday, the 100th anniversary of his show. 100 episodes, that's gone quick, hasn't it? And he was displaying on Twitter this lovely Union flag jacket. There it is on your screen right now, looking very happy with himself. But there were 2 issues with this jacket, as found on Twitter. A, it was made in Turkey, and B, it doesn't include Ireland. Northern Ireland. Yeah. Well, the north of Ireland, I would say.
No,
Ireland. North of Ireland. I mean, does he, A, endorse not backing British tailors, and B, does he not include the north of Ireland in the Union? Is that Reform UK party policy? Serious questions to answer here, Mr. Lee Anderson.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful...
Why can't he buy British? Why can't he buy British? Have some patriotism about you.
There are great tailors in this country, in fairness.
No, look, I'm not saying that there aren't great tailors. I think buying a nice tailored suit is expensive.
Well, he's on a decent... He's got his 92 grand MP salary. He's got whatever his GBNews salary. You know, he's not. He's not struggling by, is he?
I think Savile Row and Turkey are going to be complete different price points. Maybe that's what he can afford at the time.
You might be right there. I think you might be right. Yeah, Renee?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, well, still to come tonight.
And never felt so dehumanized.
Well, so what was it that was so deeply dehumanising? Find out in this week's Triggered Tantrums. But next, we'll be going to the USA to get the latest on the Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein saga. This has been blowing up. The president is also suing Rupert Murdoch. You are not going to want to miss this one. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News. Don't go anywhere.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Lots of blue skies and strong hot sunshine around the Mediterranean at the moment. There's going to be a bit of a breeze blowing, however, this weekend, especially for Crete and Cyprus. Maybe 1 or 2 showers inland across Turkey, but again, most of the coast's dry and sunny. Same goes for Italy and much of southern Spain, along with the Balearics and the Canaries. Also set fair. Temperatures in Tenerife close to 30 Celsius. We'll have highs here of 29 for the next few days and similar temperatures in Barcelona.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to our latest GB News weather from the Met Office. So heavy, thundery showers are on the cards for many of us over the next couple of days, but it will be feeling a little bit fresher, perhaps a little less humid than we've seen recently. Low pressure is very much in charge of our weather, though, situated out towards the southwest of the UK. Various weather fronts spiralling around it, pushing bands of rain and showers further north. The first one being this one across parts of Wales and southwest England, bringing some heavy and perhaps thundery outbreaks of rain. spreading northwards into the early hours of Sunday morning. Parts of Scotland will also continue to see some outbreaks of rain, and it will be generally quite a cloudy night and quite a mild night too. Perhaps not quite as mild as Friday night, but temperatures staying well into the double figures for most of us. So quite a cloudy and mild start to the day on Sunday. Quite a damp start too, particularly across parts of southwest England, southern parts of Wales, even southern parts of England, southeast seeing some heavy showers too. Perhaps a little bit brighter across parts of Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. However, for eastern Scotland, we will continue to see some heavy outbreaks of rain, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder too on Sunday morning. As we then head towards the afternoon, we continue to see showers spiralling around that area of low pressure down towards the southwest of the UK. These pushing their way northwards through the afternoon. However, we will start to see a bit of brightness, perhaps some sunny spells developing between those showers, but almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery downpour through the afternoon. Feeling warm where you do catch the sunshine though, temperatures 24, 25, potentially 26 degrees, and even in the north reaching into the low 20s. Looking at the start of the new week though, and it's a pretty similar picture. Some heavy showers to start across the southeast of England, across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland seeing some prolonged rainfall, and again, almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery shower. And the outlook picture is pretty similar too. Further showers and thunderstorms on the cards, but it will feel pleasant and pleasantly warm where you do catch the sunshine.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Forward.
Can you not stop waffling? How many times coming into the break have I got to tell you we've got a job to do here?
Like 16-year-olds.
My boss is going to sack me if I can't keep order on this panel.
Always Renee.
Telltale snitch.
Yeah, unbelievable. Right, welcome back to the Saturday 5, everyone. We're close to getting a pint. You'd think we'd been drinking since the start of the show, wouldn't you? You really would.
23 minutes and 30 seconds, Alex.
Yeah,
Who's counting?
Down the time. Please get in touch, gbnews.com/yoursay. And while you're there, do you know what? I might do a little treat and do some Ask the Fives a little bit early tonight.
Wow,
so we'll see that a little bit later on. But before we do it, get them in. Ask the Five, gbnews.com/yoursay. Put your comments in for Ask the Five. I want to read them out. OK. Donald Trump has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against media mogul Rupert Murdoch and reporters at the Wall Street Journal. That's accusing the media outlets of defamation after the paper published a 2003 birthday letter allegedly written by Mr. Trump to convicted paedophile, and late convicted paedophile, should I say, Jeffrey Epstein. The president has since called the story false, malicious and defamatory, and claims the report caused serious reputational and financial damage. Well, is President Trump rightly taking a stand of self-defense, or is he entering into dangerous territory? Well, to discuss this, I'm pleased to welcome former advisor to the Bush and Clinton administrations, Steve Gill. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I think it's...
You guys are having way too much fun tonight.
Steve, honestly, I think most of them have had a drink before they came on tonight. But, you know, look, this has been a really explosive story the last week. It's tearing the MAGA Republicans apart. Could you give us a little bit of background for British viewers?
Yeah, I think the Epstein files are really three separate things. First, you have the files that were travel on Epstein's plane within the United States. And there's no question that President Trump traveled from Mar-a-Lago to New York and vice versa a few times years and years ago. Then there are the travel to Epstein Island, where many of these sordid sexual exploits were taking place. And we have that list. President Trump is not on that. but others are on that list, and many say, oh, I didn't do anything, I just went there many times. And then you've got the question of the videotapes, and they've been hidden from view under the claim that they don't want to expose the victims. Well, it takes two to tango. So whoever was having sex with the victims, those are the ones that should be identified. Those portions of the video should be out there. And that's what's been the real controversy. But I will say President Trump has such huge political capital with his MAGA base that none of this is going to hurt him long run. What it does hurt is his ability to talk about closing the border, deporting illegals, great economic news. It's a distraction from what he would rather be talking about, and they need to turn the page quickly.
Yeah, we've obviously the midterms are rapidly approaching, and Trump, you know, I believe there's still some very thin margins in both houses. Is this going to damage his chances of keeping a Republican majority? Do you think is a big enough scandal to potentially damage the president in the upcoming elections next year?
I think by the time we get to next year, there will be more known or hidden about the Epstein files that'll make the story move on. There's still so much other stuff to talk about. But let's face it, look, sex sells. So, we could talk about details of inflationary numbers. We can talk about the Federal Reserve. None of that's as good as talking about sex. So, the Epstein files are going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and I guess maybe my final question, because I know my panel want to ask you stuff too, but my final question is, Clinton went through something similar, and, it seems to me the public relatively didn't seem to really care because he was returned with massive majorities, wasn't he? Are we just desensitized to this stuff, or is this slightly different given that the story is Epstein and all the stuff that's gone around? It's not just a simple affair, it's a big, what many people are describing as like a paedophile ring of elitists. So is this a slightly different, touchy subject with the American people?
Well, I think that with Clinton, you had actual provable involvement by him. In this case, you've got the continued smears against Trump, most of which have been completely discounted, including this and other examples. So, again, they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink, the toilet, and half the bathroom at Trump, and nothing has stuck. So rumors about what he knew and when he knew about Epstein, when he broke off relations with Epstein a few decades ago, aren't going to hurt him.
Yeah.
What is going to be important is the economy. And what saved Bill Clinton, despite his exploits, was the economy, stupid. And as long as the U.S. economy improves, President Trump and the Republicans in the House and Senate will be fine.
OK, love to see it. Steve, let me pass it over. Renee, would you like to ask a question?
I would. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
The other element to this, which is yet to play out, is Ghislaine Maxwell. She is rapidly running out of opportunities to appeal and get it changed. And I wonder if when she comes to the end of that road, which is very close, she might be more forthcoming with information about who did what and when. And is that a big problem, not necessarily for Trump, but for all of those other names?
Well, I think for the other names it is. I don't think there's any indication that Trump was involved in this sordid stuff. But there were sure a lot of others that are powerful business people, celebrities, political activists. And I think that's one of the things that Washington is trying to cover up, is that both sides will pay if the real truth comes out. And I think Ghislaine Maxwell has not traded off the information that she obviously has. And I think it's interesting that she has not. She's sitting in a jail cell when she could have traded out a lot earlier. And as you point out, it's kind of like an expiration date on the milk carton. At some point, that information is less valuable than it might be right now.
Will.
Steve, how do you think JD Vance plays this? He's obviously positioning himself to be the custodian of the MAGA movement after Trump. And he is aware that there are a lot of people in the MAGA movement who are very, very unhappy about this whole saga. How do you think he plays this by trying to both keep Trump on side, but at the same time make sure that base doesn't move away from him?
I think you've hit exactly the big problem for Republicans moving forward. Trump is a once-in-a-millennia politician. This is a guy that once got in a war of words with the Pope, and the Pope backed down. This is incredible stuff. Nobody has those skills like President Trump, and J.D. Vance is trying to be the clone of Trump. I'm not sure he can do that effectively. And frankly, I don't know how the Republicans hold that whole base together when Trump's no longer at the helm. And you've got J.D. Vance, who has to face what Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is doing. Unless J.D. Vance could come up with a really cool prison to house illegals like Alligator Alcatraz, I'm not sure how he can keep his lead ahead of Ron DeSantis in Florida.
I just love that Alligator Alcatraz. So I think it's absolutely brilliant. Trey.
Have you ever seen, by the way, a prison where they sold merchandise? They have T-shirts.
Genius. They've probably funded the program just with the merchandise. Absolutely genius. Trey.
You know, Will actually stole a lot of what I was just going to ask you there, Steve, because I was going to say if the MAGA sort of base were to fracture, who do you think would be best placed to capitalise? It might even be a wild card. Maybe someone like Tucker Carlson himself might enter politics. Who do you think would be there to capitalise on a complete fracture in the movement?
That's a great question. And again, nobody has those skills that Trump does. I mean, keep in mind, this is a guy who was on TV for years with The Apprentice, where the biggest celebrities, politics, business, Hollywood, were on his show calling him Mr. Trump. That kind of respect, it does not transfer. So his personality and the success he's having, I think, are going to be hard for anybody to replicate. We have a lot of good governors in the states. We have a lot of senators that are going to be ambitious, but none of them have the Trumpian skills. And I think that much of the MAGA crowd is pro-Trump, not necessarily pro-Republican, and anybody's going to have a hard time holding that coalition together.
Andy, we haven't got a lot of time, so a quick question, a quick response from you as well, Steve, if that's okay.
Yeah, just a quick one. I think, this lawsuit against Murdoch is about a letter that he sent in 2003. I mean, it's not unbelievable that two millionaire New York socialites would have sent a birthday message to each other. If it is true, what's the point in denying it? It doesn't implicate him in any of the dirty stuff. It's just he sent a birthday message to another socialite.
Except it's typed in portion, there's drawings. Again, Trump doesn't type. He barely reads, information he's supposed to be watching and paying attention to. So I think it is most unlikely that this is true. And I think a $10 billion lawsuit bears attention. Two things. In a lawsuit, discovery is vital. So this will open the door to them asking not just relevant questions about the letter, but anything that could lead to relevance. And that cuts against the Wall Street Journal, against Murdoch, also cuts against Trump, because they can ask all sorts of other questions about Epstein to Trump. Discovery cuts both ways, and that's sometimes it's wise not to file a lawsuit if you don't want to answer tough questions.
Steve Gill, thank you so much for coming. Fantastic interview there, former advisor to Bush and Clinton. Right, coming up, Triggered Tantrums is next. You're with the Saturday 5. Don't go anywhere.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
My eye this morning, because I say it all the time. You can't say gents at work. You're deemed to be not inclusive.
It's not inclusive. This comes from a tribunal which took place where a woman took umbrage at one of her bosses using the term in an email, dear gents. Well, you can't use the word gent. I mean, I wonder what it's like when you go to the gents now, whether you have to say going to the non-gender specific lavatories. It's a phrase. It shows that you're a bit old, they say, using the word gents. Now, I mean, I don't regard myself as old, although some may disagree with that.
This caught my eye as well, because one of your lovely presenters, who's on, I believe, at 6 o'clock, Michelle Dewberry, she very often says, thank you, gents. I don't think she's polite. I don't think she's going to be changing. But when you look into this story, there is a little bit more to this than meets the eye, because this email was sent round by management in this insurance company, and one of the ladies who was on a list to be made redundant, along with men, used that email as evidence as to why there was discrimination going on. So there was a little bit more to this, and And what the court said was that, this was clumsy language, but this was managerial incompetence. And I don't think we should in any way take that as meaning it's got any wider.
So hang on, the court even said it's clumsy language?
The court said it was clumsy language.
In itself.
I mean, they shouldn't be using that language, but what I'm saying is I don't think this means that we have to all change our behaviour because of this one.
But what next, Anna?
Decision.
I've noticed a trend among, particularly in younger people, to call people guys, even women.
Yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Look, I've got them all under control. What a start. And I haven't even had a pint yet. That's coming up very soon. Coming up from 8 p.m, it's Ask the 5. It's the time when I read through all your questions. I have been stacking them up here. We're going to get through them, I promise you. If you want to add some more of your own, gbnews.com/YourSay, I'll look through as many as I can. But now it's time for Triggered Tantrums. And this part of the show, we scroll through, listen, you don't have to, we scroll through social media to find the most ridiculous clips of the week. These total clowns having meltdowns over absolutely nothing. Right, wait until you see this lot. Will, you're going to do your first one for us tonight. What have you got?
Yeah, I apologise on behalf of Australia because we've got some no-name Australian musician who's decided to change a British classic. Let's have a look at this.
The song's a cover, and because it's Pride, it felt pretty fitting to do It's Raining Men, but I've changed it to what's on my t-shirt. When you sing this song with me, please change the pronouns to It's Raining Them. Here we go. For the first time in history, it's gonna stop raining them. It's raining them.
Shouting isn't talent. Shouting's not talent, guys. You've got to be able to hold the note. I could do that.
I'm so bored of this stuff, Alex.
But I think Australia's so lost, isn't it?
It's so woke over there now. What's going on? You Aussies need to get back to your old selves. I mean, you're the land of all the swear words and the alligators, eh? You know.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Australia has gone woke. It's
so
raining they them in Australia.
I thought the drums were good. She might not.
And is that going to be on your playlist?
I don't think so, no. But I thought, at least you can play the drums. That's something. It's quite hard to, I imagine. I know.
The drummer was...
Very briefly from you, Trey, as an artist.
As a musician.
Do you think she's got a career in music?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, she's great on the drums. I mean, she's great visually, but obviously the content... I don't know. I mean, there's an audience for it.
OK, Renee, what is your trigger tantrum?
OK, we talk all the time about snowflakes who get upset, by just about anything. Well, I've got evidence of that.
We were walking down an aisle, and there were, two guys that walked up next to us. I didn't really think much of it, so I'm just looking at the candy aisle trying to decide what candy I want. And he walks by and gets, inches from me and just rips one, farts, this far from me. That's disgusting to say. I can't even believe I'm having to say this, but he did. Never felt so dehumanized.
I said about adults that don't want to adult. That's one of them.
She's completely valid. I disagree. That's not a tantrum. This is valid. If you were in Morrison, imagine you're in Morrison's, you're trying to figure out you don't want a Snickers or a Mars bar. Some bloke comes up and farts next to you. You'd be livid. I think this is based. This is correct.
It's a very quick decision in that case.
I'd be furious.
I just think the fact that she's having complete tearful
dehumanised. She's never been so dehumanised.
I have been overcomplicating this fight with the left for so long with reason and debate and analysis and insight. just rip one in front of them and they'll do it. How good?
Can you write into your save that never happened to you down supermarket aisle?
She's obviously never travelled on our tube, has she?
But what I don't understand is she filming it in the supermarket when it just happened, or did
No,
she
she
get
was
home,
home.
put the groceries away?
Such a terrible time. She clearly left.
Then got the phone out.
That made my night. I thought that was fantastic.
Oh my goodness! Honestly, do you know what? The reason why I love Trigger Tantrums so much is because there's just such a goldmine of people who film themselves having these meltdowns. What's the first thought that comes to your head that you want to pick up the phone and film and go, I'll post that to social media.
I mean,
that sounds good.
I have to say, call out to Alice. She actually thought this was right for the show.
Right, Alice has got a brilliant sense of humour. Future Prime Minister, I think, actually.
She's coming for your job, apparently, Alex. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That will put Alice's life in mortal danger. So.
All right, listen, everybody, don't go anywhere, because if you thought this last 2 hours has been wild, it's going to get even more wild, because as soon as anyone on this panel has a sip of alcohol, it just completely turns into a circus. Yeah, well, fair enough. We will let our hair down. I'm going to read out the Ask the Fives. I want you to get them in during the break for me. Get them in. Anyway, get ready for Saturday 5 Extra. We'll see you in just a moment.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. So heavy, thundery showers are on the cards for many of us over the next couple of days, but it will be feeling a little bit fresher, perhaps a little less humid than we've seen recently. Low pressure is very much in charge of our weather, though, situated out towards the southwest of the UK. Various weather fronts spiralling around it, pushing bands of rain and showers further north. The first one being this one across parts of Wales and southwest England, bringing some heavy and perhaps thundery outbreaks of rain, spreading northwards into the early hours of Sunday morning. Parts of Scotland will also continue to see some outbreaks of rain, and it will be generally quite a cloudy night and quite a mild night too. Perhaps not quite as mild as Friday night, but temperatures staying well into the double figures for most of us. So quite a cloudy and mild start to the day on Sunday. Quite a damp start too, particularly across parts of southwest England, southern parts of Wales, even southern parts of England, southeast, seeing some heavy showers too. Perhaps a little bit brighter across parts of Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. However, for eastern Scotland, we will continue to see some heavy outbreaks of rain, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder too on Sunday morning. As we then head towards the afternoon, we continue to see showers spiralling around that area of low pressure down towards the southwest of the UK. These pushing their way northwards through the afternoon. However, we will start to see a bit of brightness, perhaps some sunny spells developing between those showers, but almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery downpour through the afternoon. Feeling warm where you do catch the sunshine though, temperatures 24, 25, potentially 26 degrees, and even in the north reaching into the low 20s. Looking at the start of the new week though, and it's a pretty similar picture. Some heavy showers to start across the southeast of England, across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland seeing some prolonged rainfall, and again, almost anywhere seeing a heavy and thundery shower. And the outlook picture is pretty similar too. Further showers and thunderstorms on the cards, but it will feel pleasant and pleasantly warm where you do catch the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
And we're at it again, and I haven't even started the show. It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday Night with a panel I just cannot keep on. Look, they've all had a sip of their alcohol. I told you this would happen. I'm Alex Armstrong, and of course I'm joined by Will Kingston, Dr. Renee Trelo, and Andy Twelves. Tonight on the show...
Yes, we're going to be taking your questions in Ask the Five.
And we're going to bring you our uplifting high fives.
Harry and Meghan have been absolutely slammed again, this time by Family Guy. We're going to be getting into that in a big interview with so much more.
We're going to be seeing more of your comments on your say, so get your comments in.
And find out about a historic rift in the Reform Party next.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m, and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Yes, I love this part of the show because I've got a pint, so it keeps me going with these
And Will's not moaning about his for a change.
Yeah, normally...
He did, he missed it.
Not moaning.
Normally it's warm and they've bought them 2 seconds before. This is actually refrigerated. This is great.
Well, there you go.
Lovely and cold in here.
Thank you, team.
Listen, this whole place is refrigerated.
Renee's really unhappy about the air conditioning tonight. Welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. Plenty more to come this hour. Of course, I just teased it there. That Meghan and Harry Family Guy cameo. Honestly... It is hilarious, and we're going to talk about that a little bit very, very, very soon, actually. And an Alaskan frog that can freeze itself alive. Of course, I want to know all your views.
I saw that in the auto queue and I was going, what's going on there?
Send your views and post your comments into gbnews.com/your say. And we've got Ask the Five breaking very soon, but nothing's off limits. So please get those in. Anyway, before we start tearing ourselves apart and drinking more alcohol, here's your Saturday News with Bethany Elsie.
Thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom.
Free Palestine! From Hamas. End apartheid!
At least 55 people have been arrested in central London for showing support for the proscribed terrorist group Palestine Action. Hundreds of protesters gathered in Parliament Square and police intervened after some displayed placards in favour of the group. They were arrested under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. Demonstrations were also held in Manchester, Edinburgh, Bristol and Truro as part of a campaign coordinated by Defend Our Juries. At least 30 people have been injured. 3 of them are in critical condition after a vehicle ploughed into a crowd in Los Angeles. The incident took place on Santa Monica Boulevard, which is close to Hollywood. It's understood the driver of the car may have lost consciousness at the wheel. Captain Adam Vangapan from the LA Fire Department spoke to press at the scene.
Our firefighters were dispatched out to a traffic accident. On arrival, they found a large group of people standing outside of a club. There's a taco truck there, and apparently a vehicle had driven through the taco truck, through the valet, and into the crowd. So when our firefighters arrived on scene, they quickly called for additional resources. So we had a total of 124 firefighters were here on scene. There's about 25 LAPD officers that came out to assist us.
The US president is seeking $10 billion in damages from the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. It's after the paper alleged that Donald Trump sent a birthday message to the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. President Donald Trump insists the letter is fake and is accusing the publication and two of its reporters of defamation. The paper's parent company, Dow Jones, said it will defend its reporting vigorously. At least 32 people have been killed